Ever wondered which version of DALL-E 3 is best, Bing or ChatGPT? Today we're going to explore using DALL-E 3 inside of Bing and ChatGPT to build Star Wars imagery and see which one takes the crown. But before we do that, if you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and let's dive in. Darth Maul has always been one of the coolest looking Star Wars characters, with the doubled horns, the double-bladed lightsaber, just that look he has on his face. Everything about Darth Maul is such a cool character. So we're going to use ChatGPT and we're going to try to build Darth Maul inside of a cyberpunk city just to see what it looks like. We'll start with Bing and then we'll move over to ChatGPT. Right, so the prompt I'm going to use here is Darth Maul in a cyberpunk city, and then I put photorealism 8K. Those little parameters work really well in Midjourney. We'll see if they work well in DALL-E as well. So let's go ahead and run that, take a look at it, and then we'll compare the results to what ChatGPT gives us. All right, so this is what Bing gave us. These are actually pretty good looking as far as I can tell. The lightsaber here is a little thin. It's almost kind of crooked. This city doesn't necessarily scream cyberpunk city from looking at it. Let's move on to the next image. Okay, this is really cool. His saber's a bit more pink, but with the cyberpunk city in the background, this actually looks pretty good. Oh yeah, this is a really cool image. Yeah, the color and lighting here is just awesome. Background looks great. Darth Maul looks great. Yeah, that's great. Really cool pictures. All right, so Bing did these pretty well. I will say that one of the super frustrating things with DALL-E 3, especially in ChatGPT, I've noticed, is that a lot of times when you're prompting for a specific character in Star Wars, in this case, you get a lot of copyright errors and it won't produce a lot of the images. So I had a ton more prompts lined up that I wasn't able to get into this video just because of how that worked. You can kind of trick it, but it's not ideal. So let's move on to ChatGPT and see what we can get there. All right, in ChatGPT, I've got the same prompt here. I've got Darth Maul in a cyberpunk city, photorealism 8K. So these are the images it gave me. All right, so this is what we got from ChatGPT. I've got it opened up in this view so that we can view the actual prompts that ChatGPT gave it, compared to the one I gave it, which was just Darth Maul in a cyberpunk city, photorealism 8K. This is a pretty cool image. One of the things I noticed about this is that the ship here seems to have lightsabers coming out of it. That's interesting. Everything else, the cars, the background, the buildings, everything very cyberpunk. Cool shot of Darth Maul kind of walking towards the camera. Move on to the next shot. This is a good one too. I'm not sure why he's holding his lightsaber like that. But this is just a great shot of him just kind of looking down into the city. This one might be my favorite. Despite the lightsaber that seems to be coming out of the building here and going down behind him, the streets, the way the water glistens on the streets, everything looks really, really good here, except when you start looking at these stormtroopers. They seem to almost have this droid-like pose to them. And then this one here, where its head should be, there's another entire upper body. This stormtrooper actually has like robot arms and legs. And it looks like the one back here may as well. I can't really tell. Yeah, that's it's some weird stuff there, but I do really like this image, despite that. This one. Photo of Darth Maul interacting with a cyberpunk-themed holographic interface in the middle of a bustling city square with diverse pedestrians. Yeah, this one's not very cyberpunk at all. It's considering this little holographic thing it's got going on as the cyberpunk part of this image. I don't really like this one, and his fingers look kind of weird there. Man, AI cannot get fingers right. Still. All right, let's move on to our next prompt. All right, so for the next prompt, I did the Obi-Wan riding a dinosaur in the battle. Just for fun, let's see what happens. And it did not disappoint. These are great. Let's take a look at these. All right, so there's some weirdness going on with this picture. This is like it's almost like a mix of Obi-Wan and Luke as far as the face goes. And then he's working with the stormtroopers, which is a bit odd. What's really weird is that here appears to be his hand, but then here seems to be another arm that's going out into this lightsaber. So that's weird. Overall, this is a pretty terrible picture. Obi-Wan wouldn't be working with the stormtroopers, and he wouldn't have grown a third arm. So move on and look at the next one. Okay. Yep. So he's still working with the stormtroopers, and his there seems to be some confusion about whether this is a lightsaber or a blaster. He's holding it like a blaster, but it kind of looks like a lightsaber, so it could be a weird combination of both. Stormtroopers look pretty good. This is still just overall just not a good image. Uh, this one, he's got the resistance troopers, lightsaber and a gun. I like this. Pretty good picture of Obi-Wan. Yeah, why is he always working with the bad guys? That's super strange in all these images. This one, he's got this weird double lightsaber thing going on. That's pretty terrible. And again, more stormtroopers. That's so odd. I'm not sure why it does that. Let's see if ChatGPT does the same thing. Oh, okay. So this is what ChatGPT gave us. This is amazing. The color is beautiful. I'm not sure there's so many dinosaurs going on, a lot of ships in the background. This is a really cool image and a much better version of Obi-Wan, although he does have a red lightsaber, so I'm not sure why that is. But this is a cool image. Let's move on and look at the next one. That's not Obi-Wan. I do like the color, how it's only got his sort of a his cloak and his boots brown. Everything else is black and white, sort of hand drawn. It's a cool image, but it's pretty dumb. It's dumb. I like the art style, but the picture itself is dumb. This looks like a clip art. This is actually one of the better looking Obi-Wans I've seen so far. Lightsaber looks normal. Hand looks normal. Yeah. Okay. That's not terrible. Let's see the prompt for that. Vector art. So that's why it gave us the vector art of a calm Obi-Wan. Let's see what that first one was. Lasers and explosions. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at the last image. Okay, this is sort of Obi-Wan in Land of the Lost. I can't tell what's happening here in the background. I'm not sure what those are. Oil painting style. Yeah. So overall, not terrible. I think this is my favorite image overall. I think this one probably, if I had to choose one image from all of these, this would be the one I would go with. I really like this one a lot. I could actually blow that up and frame it. That's beautiful. All right, let's move on and look at our next prompt. All right, so for this one, I did Kylo Ren sort of as a Funko Pop, and the exact prompt I used was Kylo Ren Funko, and then I used rendered. Rendered gives it this sort of 3D generated rendered image look that usually looks pretty cool. These aren't too bad. We'll dive into them and take a closer look. All right, here's the first one. It looks like he's holding a tiny little lightsaber style dagger here. This is actually does look a lot like Kylo Ren. This one, yeah, it did not get his mask right at all. The lightsaber's pretty good. Everything else looks good. It's just the mask is all sort of jacked up here. And this one did the same thing. It took parts of what the mask should look like and just applied them to his face. No saber here. Background is beautiful. Not sure what's going on back there, but that's really good looking. The lighting and everything looks good. It's just the mask. It can't seem to get that right. And then again, same thing here. It gave him a almost like a Darth Vader style mask with part of Kylo Ren's mask in it as well. And then some looks like stormtroopers in the background. These aren't great. Let's see if ChatGPT was able to give us anything better on these. All right. Yeah, now this is good. So one of the things I do like about DALL-E 3 is that it does text really well, and the Star Wars logo here is pretty spot on. The lightsaber looks good. This is a really good image. One of the better ones I've seen so far. There's some weirdness going on with his lightsaber and these little freckle things. Kind of weird. I don't really like that one as much. Uh, Not terrible. Not terrible. I guess this is like blood splatter is kind of what it looks like. This one is pretty good too. It looks like there's almost like a something weird's going on with the lightsaber. Like this one here should be shorter. This one should extend out, and then this fourth one back here in the back shouldn't even be here. Everything else about this image is really good. I kind of like that they would put the Funko stand here. The background's great. It's a little off, but I get what it's going for. Not terrible. If I had to pick one image from these, it would probably be this one. I think this is probably my favorite of all of these. All right, let's move on to the next prompt. All right, so for the next prompt, I went with Boba Fett in the comic book style. Boba Fett's always been one of the coolest looking characters in the Star Wars universe. So combining him with the Star Wars style should make for some really cool looking images. So let's move on. Yeah, so let's look at these up close. It looks like he's missing the little dent on his helmet here. But aside from that, this is not a bad looking image. Um, it does sort of have the two antenna things going on here. This one's a little better. I'm not sure what this writing is supposed to be, unless it's, yeah, I'm not sure what that is. It's also missing the dent in the helmet. I like the line work though. This is a really good looking image. They missed a dent in every one of these. These are great images though. He's got some cracks in his helmet here, and I have no idea what's going on with his blaster. This part of it looks like just like a handgun. This part looks like a blaster from Star Wars. Not sure what's going on. Let's see if ChatGPT can give us hopefully a dent in the helmet. All right, so this is what we got from ChatGPT. I actually really like this image. This is a very, very comic book feel to it. No dent on the helmet, but I'll take it because the rest of the image is really good looking. There's a Death Star in the background. I'm not sure which ship this is. This is a cool looking image though. This looks like he's got a like an alien head, almost like a Greedo type head, just sort of hanging here. So he's in a bar having a shootout while people are just back here in the background. That's very, very Boba Fett like. You can kind of count this little spot here as a dent in the helmet. I'm not sure the location is correct off the top of my head, but not a bad looking image. It looks like we got another Death Star style thing going on in the background. Not sure. It looks like they're sort of sharing a lightsaber here. See, it looks like part of a blaster. I'm not sure what's happening to this image. There's actually some text here, and you can kind of see the word Booba Fett. Yeah, I can't read that. But it looks like he's fighting a Jedi. It's a cool looking image. It looks like it's straight out of a comic book, except for the weirdness when you start to really look closer at what's happening here. And his arm extends pretty far. Not a great one. This is this one leg looks weird and awkward, and it looks like the other leg's missing completely. And this leg looks like it's way too short for his body. And the jetpack's all wrong. Not sure what's going on there. If I were to have to pick one of these images, I would choose. I think this is the best one overall. But Bing and ChatGPT both did pretty well with the Boba Fett comic book style images. So this one is my favorite. So far, I think ChatGPT sort of takes the crown in terms of prompting for at least Star Wars images. So let's move on and take a look at our next prompt. For this one, I did Jar Jar Binks being clumsy, and then I chose rendered. Let's take a look at these. I have no idea what's happening here. I can't even begin to describe what kind of creature this is with Jar Jar Binks' head. It's really well done. It's just not what I asked for at all. It sort of did that with all of them. It made him kind of hairy. I do not get it. That's sort of creepy. Man, I'm gonna have nightmares. That is so strange. I have no idea why it did that. Let's see what ChatGPT does. Okay, this is what I got from ChatGPT, and this is much better. He's actually not furry, and he's actually slipping on a banana peel. There's some weirdness going on. There's some weirdness going on with his toes here. But aside from that, this is sort of what I was looking for. And it looks like it only gave us 3 images this time instead of 4. Okay, yeah. See, this is what I wanted from Bing. It did it terrible. So it looks like he's just tripping over a log in a forest here, probably on Naboo, I guess. I think this is probably my favorite. He's slipping on a banana peel. Yeah, not sure what went wrong with Bing, but let's move on to the next prompt. All right, so for the next one, I did X-Wing versus Enterprise in a space battle, and then I threw the 90s cartoon style in there just because I wanted that sort of art style. So let's take a closer look. Yeah, that's not really an Enterprise. This is sort of an X-Wing, but it's sort of missing the wing over here, so it's really not an X-Wing. But it got the art style, it got the color and everything else right. Let's take a look and see. It's closer. It still missed the wing over here. That's super odd, and it added a TIE fighter. So yeah, the art style's dead on. This is much better. I'm not sure what these weird little things here are. The Enterprise needs some work. But again, the color, lighting, everything about this is 90s cartoon style. I like this a lot. Not terrible. Not as much detail as the other ones, but still not a terrible picture. I'm hoping ChatGPT can do a little better in these. All right, this is what ChatGPT gave us, and it got the wings on the X-wing correctly. The Enterprise looks much better. Color and lighting, everything looks pretty good on this image. And it looks like it only gave us 3 this time. Sort of same thing here. This is just a much better image. There's some weirdness going on with this TIE fighter in the background. Not a terrible image. I'm just happy it's getting the X-wing with 4 panels. It got 4 wings on all the X-wings in all these images. Some weirdness going on with the Enterprise that seems to be expected. Some weirdness going on with these ships down here, but it got the style exactly the way I wanted it to. Yeah, no complaints. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say this first one, the best out of all these. So once again, ChatGPT seems to handle these better, and you can tell why. This is the prompt it gave. It's a much more beefy prompt than what I gave it. So let's move on and look at the next one. So for the next prompt, I just told it to do a render of Jabba. When I tried Jabba the Hutt, ChatGPT did some weird things about copyright. So when I just did render of Jabba, it seemed to work. So let's take a closer look at these. There we go. Here's the first one. Some weird things going on with his teeth and mouth. I'm not sure what's happening there. His eyes look kind of funky, but overall, this is a not a terrible looking image of Jabba. His hands look kind of weird, and there's some weird glob thing going on down here that looks off. And again, this eyes look kind of strange. I'm not sure why. This one's pretty good. Color's a little weird, but this is a pretty good job of the hut. More in line with what we saw in episode 1. Yeah, none of these are terrible, but none of them are great. Let's see what ChatGPT can do for us. All right, ChatGPT. Um, I will say that the background, everything else looks really good. There's some weirdness going on with his mouth that I'm not okay with. His nose, just something here very off. And what is he even setting in? Like, how did they get him inside of there with his tail? He's huge here. Yeah, he's huge. He looks like a Dark Souls boss. Um, it's a pretty good picture of Jabba the Hutt. It's just everything else in this picture is pretty wrong. Now, why is he so big? Yeah, he's huge. He's very big in this picture. It's a good picture of him. It's just, man, he's a giant. And it looks like it only generated 3 images for this one as well. So I think, honestly, I think this might be my favorite image just because of the background, but I don't like how big he is. Um, the actual model of him, though, doesn't look terrible. It's tough to say. ChatGPT and Bing, neither one of these seem to get this one right. So let's move on and look at another one. All right, so for this one, I was looking at different style prompts for AI generators, and one of them was the exploded prompt. So if you look at this, I just typed in exploded lightsaber, and this is sort of what it gave me. So let's take a closer look at these. Here we go. All right, exploded lightsaber. Yeah, it looks like just some crystals and just pieces of it just sort of exploded from the inside. These are all roughly the same type of image. This one, but overall, that's not a great prompt. But let's look at how ChatGPT handled it. ChatGPT looks like it gives 4 images this time. It looks like there's kind of tiny little lightsabers inside of this lightsaber. It's just super weird, all these tiny little like circuits and stuff inside of here. Okay, and this is like a parts list. This one definitely exploded. Called half the room on fire. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. That lightsaber is super long too. What? Yeah, this is a terrible picture. If I had to, this one might be my favorite just because it's a little more detailed as far as what's going on inside the lightsaber. Um, this one might be my actual favorite though, just because like the lightsaber apparently exploded and caught a room on fire. Totally misunderstood the prompt on that. Let's move on. All right, for the next one, I did Death Star layered paper. This is an art style that I've seen a lot in Midjourney, where it looks like the entire model is sort of built out of paper layered on top of each other. And typically these look pretty cool. Bing did not seem to handle these as well. Like this would be pretty dang hard to do with paper for what they gave us. I mean, they're all really good looking images. It's just, it's not what I asked for. This one I could kind of see building with paper, but it's still not what I was looking for. So let's try that in ChatGPT. Yeah, this is a little closer to what I was wanting. That's actually pretty cool too. Oh, this one's got lights in it. That's really neat. Yeah, it looks like it only gave us the three images. Yeah, I would say this one might be my favorite. None of these were great. It's just I did not handle that layered paper prompt as well as something like Midjourney would have. For this prompt, I did Anakin Mustafar double exposure. It did not do what I was looking for, but let's take a closer look at these images anyway. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get the double exposure here with his face in the background with the lava, but I'm not sure what's going on with this dude. I don't remember seeing him there. Not terrible. Darth Vader looks a little funky here. I think it's because of the cloak he's wearing and the weirdness going on with this Death Star thing in the background. Also, he's got a Kylo Ren style saber. I wish I could see his face closer. It looks like he's on fire. Yeah, these are not great, but not super terrible either. This Death Star sort of disintegrating in the background, not bad. Let's see how ChatGPT handles this. This is more along the lines of what I was wanting with the double exposure. This is not terrible. This is weird. It's like the lava and fire of Mustafar is turning him into almost like a Darth Maul style character. He's like clean shaven but has a mustache. That's weird. Not sure what's going on here. I would say this is probably the image that I like best out of all of these because this is more what I was going for. But let's move on and look at a different prompt. All right, so for this one, I did pod racer cutaway diagram. And as you can tell from the images here, none of these are pod racers. So let's take a closer look and see what we actually have going on here. Yeah, as you can see, this is closer to an X-Wing. It's not a pod racer at all. It does sort of give us what we're asking for. It cuts away in some of the areas, but not the whole thing. And text is absolutely unreadable, as I would expect from this image. But it's not a pod racer. That's a big issue. Sort of same thing here. This is a little closer with the cutaway, but the image again is not a pod racer. Yeah. Okay. Well, I do like that you can generate images like this, but without being able to make the image I'm asking for, it's kind of useless. Well, let's see if ChatGPT can actually give us a pod racer. All right. So far off to a bad start because that is not a pod racer. Neither is that or that. Yeah, this is probably the closest one. Um, but even this wasn't what I was looking for. None of these handled this well. I guess it's probably this is the closest one. I would give the crown to this one, but it's more like a participation trophy. Let's move on and look at one more actually. So this creepy pasta is something I came across online where you can do a normal prompt, put creepy pasta at the end, and it turns it into a creepy looking image. So when I did that, this is sort of what I got was these goth looking Jedi Sith like ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings. This is super creepy. I like this a lot. Um, what's interesting is when I did this in ChatGPT, I'm going to pull it up now. When I did this in ChatGPT, it actually just started writing like a short story version of a creepypasta type thing. I had to add the image tag to the end of it to get the images here. And then as you can see, it generates some pretty creepy looking images in the Star Wars universe. Not sure why this moon's glowing so much and this one isn't. That's pretty creepy. I honestly think, let me go back to, so this was my favorite image of all these, and this was actually a Bing image. I think this is the only one I gave Bing the props to. So the rest of these ChatGPT seem to handle much better. Right. Thanks for watching. This was a super fun video to make, being a huge Star Wars fan. It did get a little frustrating when ChatGPT would constantly warn me about copyright restrictions. But I pushed through that. And if you guys have anything you'd like to see me make in future videos, any sort of prompting or AI tools you'd like to see me use, just leave that in the comments below. If you haven't checked out any of my other videos yet, take a look. I've got some great videos on how to optimize your everyday life with AI, everything from your morning routine to your workout. Until next time, you guys have a great week.